A question I commonly get is how much does $100,000 in annuity pay you? Now this math works exactly the same whether you have $200,000, you just multiply it by 2, or $300,000 or whatever that is, you just do a simple multiplier, but the numbers work roughly the same. Now here's a disclaimer. I'm going to give you actual numbers, but knowing that, know that rates change as well as the payout by state also changes, but they're roughly the same from state to state, with the exception of New York, which has a lower payout for some reason, but the rates are roughly the same from most states. So here we go. Here is $100,000 for someone who's a 65-year-old and they want to get the money out of the annuity today. The payout is right here. The benefit base is 7.75 and they're going to get paid $7,750, which is 7.75% guaranteed for life. And you can see the payout after 10 years and 30 years that they can get as a way to get consistent income for the rest of their life. Now, let's go through some other things that's called a roll-up rate. So how can you actually increase that benefit from 7.75 to something even greater? Well, this is called a roll-up rate, and we'll go through some live examples right now. This way you can see exactly how much you can get paid for the same $100,000. Now, this works with bonuses on the roll-up rate. And we're going to go through more detail as I'm going through these examples. So here's a 63-year-old that wants to retire at 68, again, $100,000. You can see that their benefit base as their income amount is 142. That's that roll-up rate. And we'll go through the exact math on that with a benefit of 8.15, giving them $11,614 a year. So again, $100,000 within 5 years at 63, and then getting the money at 68, they're going to get 11.6% out of the $100,000 that's guaranteed for life as well as the life of the spouse. Now, to get that same amount of income safely out of retirement, it would take you $290,000 versus $100,000 if you can give it a couple of years. Well, let's do this again. Let's make it a 65-year-old who wants to retire at 67. This would roughly be the same if you're 63 going to 65, but just giving you another example. So again, 65-year-old retiring at 67, their income would be $9,426 every single year for $100,000. So again, if it's $200,000, you do a multiple of that by 2, $300,000 multiple of that by 3. And this is guaranteed for life. You can see the 10-year payout and the 30-year payout. So this is what's called a roll-up rate. Now, let's go through another scenario of someone who's 58 years old, and this is the example of the power of the roll-up rate. They're using $100,000, they're 58 years old, and they want to retire when they're 65. You can see here they're going to get approximately 12.75% payout because their income amount is now $170,000. Because that's that roll-up rate. And again, we'll do live examples in a second. Their benefit base is 7.5. They're going to get $12,750 for the rest of their life, and also for their spouse, 10-year payout, 30-year payout. Now, this is actually a fairly common scenario where I meet someone who's 60 years old. They want to retire when they're 65. They want some years to build up and their benefit. And this is how much money that you can get out of an annuity. And it's also guaranteed for life. So it's perfectly safe. And it pays out roughly this much. Now, how much can you get? What's the maximum you can get out of an annuity? Well, that depends on how long you can defer and wait for the money. It also depends on your age. So I showed you an immediate payout of 65 years old. They're going to get 7.75% guaranteed for life. But if you're 70, you're going to get that much more. If you're 80, that much more. You shouldn't really get an income benefit out of an annuity at 80 years old. That's not the best way to do it. There's actually better ways at 80 years old, but this is a good technique to get income for as long as you possibly can in your retirement window. There's a massive difference. Now, I mentioned to you before about the roll-up rate. So roll-up rates can be anywhere from 3%. I said here on the screen 5%, but it goes from 3% to 14%. 3% is like a really low payout. Typically, it's between 5% and 14%. That's why I started at 5 up to 14. And what that does is it gives you a bonus as well on the benefits. It just depends how it's structured for the benefits. But in this case, I'm not going to show you any bonuses. I'm going to show you a 9% roll-up rate and how it works. Actually, this is a different example. This is of a client who had $181,440. Pretty exact number, but that's what they had in retirement, and they wanted to know what was the maximum income they could get because they didn't save any money in their Social Security. They actually they used an S corporation, didn't have money for income, and they wanted to get the max amount of income. And you can see for $181,440, they wanted to defer this for as long as possible at 59, and you can see their payout is $28,595 out of $181. That's amazing. So this is a way to get the most amount of money consistently that's safe. So the best way to look at it is the most amount of money that's safe. So let's go through the roll-up rate. We'll use an example of someone that wants $38,000 in income. And I mentioned to you before, the payout on that's roughly 7.75, but in this case, I'm using a 7.5% benefit base. But let's show you how the roll-up rate works at 9%. If you have a 9% roll-up rate, how would that actually impact you? So again, if you want immediate income out of $500,000, you're going to get $38,000. But you can see in year 2, if you can just wait just 1 year, you're going to get $41,420. Year 3, $45,148. And over here in year 7, again, if you can wait 7 years, out of that $500,000, you can get $63,729 on a 9% roll-up rate. Now, again, this is only structured depending on the company that you're using in the state, and the rates do change. But just to give you some understanding, $500,000 in year 7 can equal $63,000 for you and your spouse for life in year 7. Now again, those are not hard and fast numbers. These are just approximations because again, rates change. Now something else to note is that people with annuities, statistically with studies, live happier and actually live longer. Now why is that? Because when you know you have consistency in your income, you will be happier in retirement knowing that that money will come in every single month. Because annuities are pretty much the opposite of equities and stocks. You go into an annuity because you want the guarantees. You don't want the hypotheticals. You want to know how much money you're getting, therefore giving you happiness and consistency. When you think about people who retired previously, who had pensions, and also like any kind of government official, statistically, they retire happier as well because they know that money is consistently coming in year over year. And if you want help to see how much money you can get out of an annuity, click the link down below. I'm happy to show you what will work for you and the rates that are going on in your state today to see if this can be a benefit for you. And maybe it's not, but if it is, click that link below. We'll go through a quick conversation. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and that's all you have to do. I look forward to meeting you. See you soon.